My family told me not to come to New Year's Eve, saying, "You'll just make everyone uncomfortable." So I spent it alone in my apartment. But at exactly 12:01 a.m., my brother called. His voice was shaking. "What did you do?" "Dad just saw the news and he can't breathe." Can you imagine being told you're too much by the people who raised you? Then having those same people try to steal your life's work? I never thought my New Year's Eve would involve a multi-billion-dollar IPO and bringing my family's legacy crashing down around them. My family disinvited me from New Year's Eve. My mom's voice, smooth and cold as ice, said I'd just make everyone uncomfortable. Can you imagine being told you're too much by the people who should lift you up? So, as the clock ticked past midnight on January 1st, I was alone in my tiny Cambridge studio, watching strangers celebrate through my window. Meanwhile, I knew my family was clinking champagne glasses in their Greenwich mansion, probably pretending I didn't exist. But then, at exactly 12:01 a.m., my phone rang. It was my brother, Ryan. His voice was shaking, panicked. "Nora, what did you do?" "Dad just saw the news. He's not breathing right." Mom is screaming, "What the hell did you do?" The news he was talking about? My company, Neural Thread Incorporated, had just gone public at midnight. A $2.1 billion valuation. Overnight, I became one of the youngest female tech billionaires in America. But the money, honestly, wasn't the biggest shock for them. It was what I revealed in the Forbes interview that dropped the exact same moment. 3 years of emails, patents, voice recordings, all proving, without a shadow of a doubt, that my brother tried to steal my work. Now, before we get into the full chaos of that night, you need to understand my family. The Townsends weren't just wealthy. We were legacy old money from Greenwich, Connecticut. Think sprawling mansion with actual columns, a 40-year-old medical device company, and the expectation that you'd know exactly which obscure fork to use at a charity gala before you hit double digits. It was suffocating, honestly. My older brother, Ryan, he was born for it. 5 years my senior, effortlessly charming, the kind of guy who could walk into a room and make everyone, literally everyone, feel like they were the most important person there. He wore Tom Ford suits like they were sweatpants, golfed with investors, and was, in every single way, the heir our parents dreamed of. Me? I was different. I preferred lines of code to cocktail party chatter. I chose MIT for computer science, and I still remember my parents forcing smiles for the acceptance photos. But later, I overheard my mom, her voice dripping with dismissive affection, telling a friend, "Oh, it's just a phase. She'll grow out of it and do something more practical." When I graduated top of my class with a research focus on AI-driven medical diagnostics, something revolutionary, I thought my family wasn't even there. They were at Ryan's golf tournament. "Ryan needs us there for networking, sweetie. You understand?" My mother chirped. I understood. Oh, I understood perfectly. I understood when I crammed into a tiny studio in Cambridge with 2 roommates, while Ryan effortlessly landed a penthouse in Back Bay. I understood when family dinners turned into high-stakes strategy sessions about the company's quarterly reports, and I just sat there, quietly pushing food around a Wedgwood plate, utterly ignored. I understood when my father proudly introduced Ryan to business partners as the future of this company, and then introduced me with a slight shrug as our daughter who does computers. What I learned painfully early was that in my family, brilliance was less valuable than charm. Innovation was less important than maintaining tradition. And I was always less valuable than Ryan. I just didn't realize how truly, profoundly less until 3 years ago. It was March 2022, and I was deep into something truly revolutionary. Not just interesting research. This was big. My 2 co-founders, brilliant minds from MIT, and I had created an algorithm that could analyze medical imaging data faster and with more precision than anything out there. Think early detection for diseases that currently kill people before doctors even know what they're looking for. We named it Neural Thread because it wove together neural networks in a way no one had dared imagine. We were months from beta testing, investor meetings were set, everything was finally clicking. Then the phone rang. My mother, "Nora," she began, her voice already laced with that familiar, steel-edged tone that meant this wasn't a discussion. It was an imperative. We need to talk about Ryan. She told me Towns and Industries was having a difficult quarter. Ryan was under enormous pressure. Your family needs you, Nora. You need to help. I tried to explain. Mom, I'm in the middle of critical development. My startup is at such a fragile stage. Startup? She sneered the word like it was a foreign, distasteful object. Nora, startups are for people who have nothing to lose. You have a legacy. You have a family business that's been around for 40 years. Ryan needs support, and you're sitting in that little apartment playing with computers. The message was crystal clear. My work was a childish hobby. Ryan's real work was what mattered. But MIT had taught me a crucial lesson my mother never grasped. Always protect your intellectual property. So, before I agreed to anything, I made a detour. I met James Kirby, a sharp lawyer specializing in IP protection for tech startups. We sat in a bustling Cambridge bakery, my laptop open between us. He calmly walked me through the paperwork. If anyone tries to claim your work, James said, pushing a patent application across the table, we'll have a paper trail so ironclad, even the best lawyers can't break it. On March 15, 2022, I filed that patent. Every line of code, every algorithm iteration, meticulously timestamped, legally mine. I didn't plan to use it. Honestly, I just wanted insurance. A safety net against the family I knew too well. So I agreed to consult for Ryan. Family obligation, my mother purred. I drove down to the Towns and Industries headquarters in Stamford, a gleaming glass fortress with our family name in brushed steel, towering over the entrance. Ryan's office was on the top floor, corner view, naturally. His walls were plastered with framed awards and a giant black and white print of our grandfather, looking down judgmentally. Nora, he exclaimed, pulling me into a hug that felt entirely too familiar. We weren't close, not really. Thanks for coming. This means everything. I gave him the bare minimum, basic concepts on integrating AI into diagnostic devices, just enough to demonstrate the potential. The core algorithm? Not a chance. I wasn't that stupid. He scribbled notes on a yellow legal pad, nodding like a bobblehead. This is exactly what we need. Investors are going to love this. 2 weeks later, he invited me to a pitch meeting with a big venture capital firm. I sat at the back of their opulent conference room, a huge walnut table, plush leather chairs, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the sound. Ryan, front and center, was presenting my ideas, my research, my framework. Towns and Industries is pioneering the integration of artificial intelligence into medical device manufacturing, he boasted, clicking through a slick slide deck I'd never seen. We're positioned to revolutionize early diagnostics. An investor glanced at me. And you are. Ryan didn't even blink. That's my sister, Nora. She's been helping with some of the technical research. Helping. Like I was his glorified assistant. After the meeting, Ryan casually handed me a document. Just a standard NDA, he said, all charm and smiles. To protect the family business. You understand. I read it. Non-disclosure agreement covering all proprietary information related to Towns and Industries. This is to protect me too, right? I asked, a flicker of unease. Of course. He flashed that winning smile. We're family, Nora. We protect each other. I signed it because, deep down, a part of me still wanted to believe that family actually meant something. Thanksgiving 2023. My parents' dining room was a scene straight out of a magazine, shimmering crystal, grandmother's Wedgwood china, white roses. 12 guests, all important people. Business partners, socialites, a couple who just endowed a hospital wing. My mother, with surgical precision, seated me at the furthest end, right next to my father's golf buddy's wife. She spent the entire appetizer course droning on about her Pilates instructor. When the main course arrived, a glistening turkey on a silver platter, my mother rose for the introductions. Most of you know my son, Ryan, she beamed, practically glowing. CEO of Towns and Industries. We're so proud of what he's building. He just closed a partnership with a major hospital network. Thunderous applause. Ryan raised his wine glass, a picture of humble success. Then it was my turn. And this? Her voice shifted, still pleasant, but distinctly cooler. Is our daughter Nora. Nora works in technology. She's very bright, but she's not much for socializing. A few polite, fleeting smiles. A silver-haired man in a bespoke blazer leaned forward. Technology? What kind? I opened my mouth, a sliver of hope that someone might actually see me. But Ryan, of course, cut me off. Oh, Nora's still figuring out her path. He chuckled, dismissive. She's very introverted. Brilliant with computers, but, He waved a vague hand. Not great with people. The table erupted in polite, dismissive laughter. My face burned. I stared at the perfectly carved turkey on my plate, a knot of humiliation in my stomach. Suddenly, I couldn't eat. After dinner, my mother cornered me in the kitchen. Nora, I know you don't mean to, she began. But you just make people uncomfortable. You barely said a word in there. Could you try to be more warm? I didn't get a chance to, Mom. I mumbled, my voice tight. I'm not criticizing, sweetheart. I'm helping. People like warmth. They like energy. You're just so. She sighed, a heavy, theatrical sound. Heavy. I left before dessert. The air in that house felt like it was pressing down on me. By June 2024, Ryan called me, demanding an emergency meeting at his office. I drove down on a Tuesday morning, his assistant now waving me through like a familiar, if infrequent, ghost. Ryan stood by his window, hands jammed in his pockets, gazing out at the water, his back to me. When he turned, his usual easy charm was gone, replaced by something tense, almost desperate. We need the full algorithm, Nora, he stated, no preamble. I blinked. What? The AI diagnostic tool. The one you've been working on. We need it for towns and industries. Investors are pulling back. We need a breakthrough. This could save the company. My blood ran cold. Ryan, that's not towns and industries work. That's my startup. He let out a hollow, humorless laugh. Your startup? Nora, you've been consulting for us. You signed an NDA. Everything you've worked on in relation to our business belongs to the company. That's not how NDAs work. I shot back, a surge of adrenaline. Don't tell me how they work. His voice hardened, a dangerous edge. I'm trying to save our family's legacy. Don't you care about that? Before I could even form a response, the door swung open. My mother, heels clicking like a ticking clock on the hardwood, swept in. She must have been waiting. Nora. She sat in one of Ryan's plush leather chairs, crossing her legs, perfectly poised. Your brother is right. You signed an agreement. You have a legal obligation. The NDA covers towns and industries' proprietary information, I said, my voice slow, measured. It doesn't cover my personal projects. Personal projects that you developed while consulting for us? Ryan interjected, his voice rising. That's a conflict of interest. My mother's expression was pure ice. Nora, don't make this a legal issue. Family doesn't sue family. Just give Ryan the algorithm, and we can all move forward. I looked between them. My brother, desperate and entitled. My mother, cold and controlling. Both of them staring at me like I was the problem, I was the villain. No, I said, the word coming out steady despite the tremor in my hands. Ryan's face flushed crimson. Careful, Nora. You don't want to make this ugly. I didn't say another word. I just turned and walked out, but not before subtly pressing the voice memo button on my phone, deep in my pocket. Massachusetts is a one-party consent state. I knew even then this wasn't over. After that meeting, the silent treatment began. I stopped getting invited to family dinners. No dramatic phone call, no official disinvitation. The weekly emails from my mother's assistant, dinner this Sunday, 6 p.m., just ceased. Instead, I'd see Ryan's Instagram stories, pictures of family gatherings I wasn't at, great night with the family. His captions would crow, showing my parents, Ryan, his girlfriend, even distant cousins I barely knew. I was pointedly, absent from every single frame. My friends noticed. "Everything okay with your family?" my old roommate asked over coffee, a concerned furrow in her brow. "You haven't mentioned them in months." What was I supposed to say? That I'd been quietly, systematically erased? That I was being punished for refusing to simply hand over 3 years of my life's work? I tried calling my father once. He picked up on the 4th ring, sounding distracted, distant. "Dad, what's going on? Why am I not being invited to?" He sighed, a weary, put-upon sound. "Nora, your mother and Ryan are under a lot of stress right now. The company is struggling. Maybe it's better if you give everyone some space." Space from what? I haven't done anything. The injustice flared in me. "You refused to help your brother after everything this family has given you." Everything this family has given me? Something sharp and painful cracked open in my chest. "You didn't come to my MIT graduation. You didn't ask about my work once in 5 years. What exactly have you given me?" Silence. A heavy, damning silence. "Then, I think you should apologize to your mother and Ryan. When you're ready to be part of this family again, let us know." He hung up. I sat in my car outside the MIT campus, watching students walk by, so full of hope and purpose. And it hit me. I've been erased. Not by strangers, not by enemies. By the people who were supposed to love me. On December 20th, 2024, my mother called. I almost didn't pick up. "Nora." No greeting, just that clipped, purposeful tone. "I wanted to let you know that Christmas this year is going to be family only." I waited, the implication sinking in slowly, like cold water. "You're asking me not to come." "I'm suggesting," she corrected, her voice still smooth, "that it might be better for everyone if you didn't. Ryan is bringing some very important clients. It's a crucial time for the company, and we need the atmosphere to be positive." "And I'm not positive?" I asked, a sharp, bitter laugh escaping me. "You're angry, Nora. We can all feel it. You make people uncomfortable. Your energy is my energy." "Mom, I haven't seen you in 6 months." I snapped. "How would you possibly know what my energy is?" "I'm trying to protect you," she said, and she almost sounded like she believed it. "You'll be miserable here. You hate these gatherings anyway. Isn't it better to just skip it this year? You're uninviting me from Christmas. I'm giving you an out." Her voice hardened. "Take it gracefully, Nora." I just hung up. I sat in my tiny 500-square-foot studio, looking at the small, fake Christmas tree I'd bought from Target, at the string lights across my window, the empty space where family was supposed to be. Then I opened my laptop. An email was waiting from Forbes. Subject: IPO feature request. They wanted to feature me in their 30 Under 30 Tech Innovators series, Cover Neural Threads IPO, and were particularly interested in your journey as a female founder in AI. I read it 3 times. A slow, exhilarating smile spread across my face. I hit reply. "Yes," I typed. "And I have a story you're going to want to hear." December 28th. My mother called again. "Nora, about New Year's Eve. Ryan is hosting at the house. Investors, potential partners, some important people from Boston Medical. It's essentially a business event. Okay? So I wanted to make sure we're clear. This isn't a family party. It's professional. You understand what I'm saying? You don't want me there." It wasn't a question. "I don't want anyone there who's going to create tension. Ryan is under enormous pressure. His entire career depends on these relationships. If you showed up and..." She trailed off. "And what? Said something? Told the truth?" I thought. When she spoke again, her voice was colder than ever. "Don't come, Nora. For everyone's sake, just stay away." "Don't worry," I said, my voice eerily calm. "I will." And I hung up. I stood in my cramped kitchen, barely room for one person, and looked at my calendar. December 31st. Empty. No plans. No invitations. No family. I thought about calling friends, but they all had their own parties, dinners, trips, normal people doing normal things with people who wanted them around. I opened my laptop instead. The Forbes interview was set to go live at midnight, January 1st, 2025. Their writer had spent 3 weeks verifying everything. Patent documents, email chains, that recording from Ryan's office, testimony from Dr. Elena Martinez, my old MIT professor. James Kirby, my lawyer, had reviewed every single word. You're legally protected, he'd assured me. The NDA doesn't cover your personal IP. Everything you're revealing is documented and true. They can't touch you. The article was ready. TechCrunch had a companion piece queued for 12:01 a.m. My company's IPO announcement was synchronized. All I had to do was let it happen. I looked at the clock. December 28th, 9:47 p.m. 3 days until my family's perfect New Year's Eve party. 3 days until the truth went public. I whispered one word into my empty apartment. Good. December 31st, 2024. 11 p.m. I sat on my couch in the dark, laptop open, scrolling Instagram on my phone. Ryan's story was a video of the party. The mansion glowed like a resort, every column wrapped in white lights. A string quartet played in the foyer. People in cocktail attire, champagne flutes in hand, laughing, carefree. My mother, regal in a black Armani gown, holding court. My father in a tuxedo, shaking hands with men in expensive watches. And Ryan at the very center, confident, charming, toasting with someone I recognized from the business pages. A hospital CEO, maybe a major investor. No one noticed I wasn't there. No one asked. Through my window, I watched strangers in the park across the street setting off fireworks. Couples kissing, friends counting down. I was alone, not just physically but existentially. I refreshed my email. The Forbes article was staged. Ready. Publish time. 12 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. 6 minutes away. I opened the draft one last time, scrolling through the sections. Neural Thread Incorporated goes public at $2.1 billion valuation. Founder Nora Townsend reveals family betrayal. Then, email evidence shows brother attempted IP theft. There were screenshots, timestamps, the transcribed recording from June, Dr. Martinez's unwavering statement. I can confirm that Nora Townsend developed this algorithm independently. Any claims to the contrary are factually false. James Kirby's legal analysis was crystal clear. The NDA signed by Ms. Townsend pertains only to Towns and Industries' existing proprietary information. It does not and cannot extend to her independent work. My cursor hovered. On TV, the Times Square countdown began. 10, 9, 8. I glanced at my phone. Ryan's Instagram story updated. Everyone raising their glasses. 3, 2, 1. Fireworks exploded outside my window. I hit refresh on Forbes. The article went live. 11:59 p.m. My face, a professional photo with a serious expression, appeared on the homepage. The bold headline screamed, Neural Thread Incorporated goes public at $2.1 billion valuation. Founder reveals family betrayal. Below it, a TechCrunch notification hit my phone. MIT grad becomes youngest female AI billionaire and accuses brother of IP theft. Twitter exploded. Notifications piled up. Hashtag Neural Thread started trending. The TV showed crowds in Times Square, confetti falling, people celebrating. My phone was silent for exactly 60 seconds. Then it erupted. Text messages flooded in from numbers I didn't recognize. Journalists, old colleagues, people from MIT I hadn't spoken to in years. My inbox crashed, then recovered email after email. It's live. Prepare yourself. From the Forbes writer. You're legally clear. Don't respond to anyone without talking to me first. From James Kirby. Nora, I'm so proud of you. Call me if you need anything. From Dr. Martinez. I sat in the sudden, ringing silence of my apartment, my hands shaking. I thought about my family just 2 hours away. I pictured the exact moment someone at that party, perhaps casually checking their phone, would see the headline. The champagne would stop flowing. The laughter would die. My phone rang. Ryan. 12:01 a.m. I stared at the screen, watching it vibrate, then picked up. Hello, Ryan, I said, my voice level impossibly calm. Nora. His voice was shaking, high-pitched with panic. In the background, I heard chaos. Raised voices, someone crying, the clink of glass. What did you do? Dad just saw the news. He's not breathing right. Mom is screaming. What the hell did you do? I went public, Ryan. My company. My work. Your company? He shouted, his voice cracking. You signed an NDA. You can't just... This is defamation. This is... Mom. I'm talking to her. His voice moved away, then returned, closer. You put our private conversations in Forbes. You recorded us. I documented the truth. The truth? He laughed, a wild, bitter sound. You published emails out of context. You made it look like I stole from you when all I did was try to help the family business. I closed my eyes. Ryan, the patent was filed 4 months before your first investor pitch. The timestamps don't lie. Those are coincidences. People work on similar ideas all the time. Not with identical frameworks. Not with the exact terminology I used in my research notes. Behind him, I heard my mother's voice, shrill. Is that her? Give me the phone. You've destroyed us. Ryan choked out, his voice cracking fully now. Investors are already calling. They're pulling out. The board is... Do you understand what you've done? You've killed this company. You've killed our family. No, Ryan. You did that. You did that when you tried to erase me. You called me your assistant. You told investors I was just helping with research I created. You demanded I hand over my algorithm and threatened me when I refused. That's not help. That's theft. The NDA, he screamed. The NDA doesn't cover my personal IP. Ask your lawyers. Or better yet, read the Forbes article. James Kirby explained it pretty clearly. Silence. Then a sharp click. He'd hung up. My phone immediately rang again. It was my mother. Hello, Mom, I answered, bracing myself. Nora. Her voice was ice, laced with controlled fury. What you've done is unforgivable. I documented the truth. You humiliated this family in front of the world. Do you understand what you've done? Ryan's investors are calling. They're pulling funding. The board is demanding emergency meetings. Your father, he can't even speak right now. That's not my responsibility. Not your responsibility? Her voice cracked, just slightly, a tiny fissure in her icy facade. You destroyed your brother's reputation. You made us look like monsters. You violated the NDA. No, Mom, I didn't. The NDA covers towns and industries' proprietary information. It doesn't cover my personal work. James Kirby made sure of that. We will sue you. We will take everything. You'll lose. I kept my voice steady, professional. And it'll all be public. Every filing, every deposition, every piece of evidence will become part of the court record. Do you really want that? Silence. A long, heavy pause. You've destroyed Ryan's career, she said, her voice dropping to a dangerous whisper. Investors are walking away. Business partners are cutting ties. All because you decided to air family business to the entire world. No, Mom. Ryan destroyed his career when he tried to steal my work. I just made sure people knew the truth. The truth, she laughed, a bitter, broken sound. The truth is you were always jealous of Ryan. You couldn't stand that he was successful, that he was respected, that people actually liked him. The truth, I interrupted, my own voice rising now, fueled by years of suppressed pain, is that you've spent my entire life making me feel like I didn't matter, like my work wasn't real, like I was an inconvenience. And when I finally built something that couldn't be ignored, you tried to take it away. You're delusional. I have timestamps, Mom, patents, emails, recordings. The truth isn't a feeling. It's documentation. Another silence. This one felt different, then cold, final. You are no longer part of this family. Something in my chest, a tight, painful knot I'd carried for years, finally loosened. Relief, grief. freedom, all at once. I haven't been part of this family for years, I said quietly, the words almost a sigh. You made sure of that. I hung up. The phone rang again immediately. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but some deep instinct, made me pick up. Miss Townsend, this is David Park from TechCrunch. Do you have a moment? A journalist. Of course. I'm aware of the article you published, I said carefully, my voice still steady. We've seen a statement from Towns and Industries. They're denying your allegations, claiming you're disgruntled and seeking attention. Would you like to respond? I walked to my window, looking out at the fireworks still bursting over Cambridge. Strangers celebrating, full of joy, while my family imploded 2 hours south. I stand by everything in the Forbes article, I stated. I have documentation that any independent party can verify. Patent filings from March 2022, email chains showing the timeline of events, expert testimony from Dr. Elena Martinez at MIT, legal analysis from Intellectual Property Council. If Towns and Industries wants to dispute the facts, they're welcome to try. Your brother claims the similarities between his presentations and your patent are coincidental. How do you respond? My patent was filed 4 months before his first investor pitch. The framework, terminology, and architecture are identical. Coincidence doesn't explain that. Copying does. There's speculation that this revelation will affect Towns and Industries' funding and partnerships. Any comment? I paused. A flicker of thought for the employees there. People who had nothing to do with Ryan's appalling decisions. My goal was never to harm the company, but to protect my work. Actions have consequences, I said, weighing my words. If investors choose to walk away because of ethical concerns, that's their right. One more question. Do you regret going public? No, I said, the answer clear and immediate. I regret that it was necessary. I hung up and opened Twitter. Hashtag neural thread was trending, number 3 nationally. Comments poured in. This is why women in tech need to document everything. Her brother really thought he could steal her work and get away with it. Towns and Industries is done. No one wants to work with IP thieves. But also, she destroyed her family for money. That's disgusting. Family issues should stay private. This is just vindictive. I closed the app. Let them think what they wanted. The truth was out. That was enough. I didn't sleep a wink that night. At 6 a.m. on January 1st, I finally gave up trying. I made coffee, opened my laptop, and just stared at the digital avalanche. 247 missed calls, 512 emails, thousands of Twitter notifications. I started reading through them. Dr. Martinez, Nora, you were so brave. I'm proud of you. Call me when you're ready. James Kirby, Towns and Industries lawyers contacted me at 2 a.m. threatening to sue for defamation and NDA violation. I've already sent them our legal analysis. They have no case. You're completely protected. One of my co-founders, Holy Nora, CNBC wants to interview us. Bloomberg too. What do we say? Even the MIT Alumni Association wanted to feature me as an example of protecting IP. But there were others. How could you do this to your family? From a distant cousin. Do you have any idea what you've done to your mother? An old family friend. I've known the Townsends for 30 years. They're good people. You're destroying their reputation for attention. Someone I didn't even know called me a disgrace. Family is supposed to come first. I read them all, letting them wash over me. Then I went back to the positive ones. From a woman I'd never met. I'm a software engineer. My former boss took credit for my code for 2 years. I stayed silent because I was scared. Reading your story gave me the courage to file a formal complaint. Thank you. Another. I've been hiding my startup from my family because they don't think it's real work. After reading about you, I'm going public with it. You gave me permission to exist. Yet another. My father told me I'd never be as successful as my brother. I'm sending him the Forbes article. I sat back, overwhelmed, exhausted. But for the first time in years, maybe in my entire life, I felt seen. Not by my family, but by thousands of people who understood exactly what I'd been through. I wasn't alone anymore. By 10 a.m., Ryan held a press conference. I watched it live on YouTube, my laptop propped on my kitchen counter, coffee going cold in my hand. He stood at a podium in the Towns and Industries conference room, the very same room where he'd presented my ideas as his own. Behind him, the company logo. Cameras flashed, blinding. Journalists packed the space. He looked terrible. Rumpled suit, no tie, eyes red-rimmed and bloodshot. "Thank you all for coming," he started, his voice rough, strained. "I want to address the allegations made by my sister, Nora Townsend, in this morning's Forbes article." He cleared his throat, reading from prepared notes. "My sister is going through a very difficult time. We love her. We've always supported her. But her allegations are baseless and hurtful. Towns and Industries has always respected intellectual property law. We've never stolen anyone's work." A journalist raised her hand. "Can you explain the timeline discrepancy? Her patent was filed in March 2022. Your first investor presentation using similar technology was in July 2022. How do you account for that?" Ryan shifted uncomfortably. "Many people work on similar ideas simultaneously. The tech industry it's collaborative. Ideas overlap. But the Forbes article includes emails where you specifically asked her for the algorithm," another journalist pressed. "You wrote, 'We need the full diagnostic AI framework.' How is that an overlap?" "Those emails are taken out of context." Ryan's face flushed a deep red. "I was trying to collaborate with my sister to bring her into the family business. She's interpreting it as..." She also published a recording of a June 2024 meeting where you threatened legal action if she continued her independent work. Can you comment on that? "That recording was made without my knowledge," he spat. "Massachusetts is a one-party consent state. The recording is legal. What about the content? Did you threaten her?" Ryan gripped the podium, his knuckles white. "This press conference is over." He stormed out. The cameras kept rolling. Within 2 hours, the clip was viral. Reddit, Twitter, TikTok, CEO melts down when asked about IP theft. Watch this tech bro try to explain away evidence. My phone buzzed with a text from Dr. Martinez. He buried himself. "You didn't even have to be there." She was right. I didn't need to destroy him. He did it himself the moment he lied on camera. By 4 p.m., Towns and Industries issued a statement. I read it on my phone, still sitting on my couch, still in the same clothes I'd worn last night. The board of directors of Towns and Industries has voted to suspend CEO Ryan Townsend, pending an independent investigation into recent allegations regarding intellectual property practices. The statement emphasized their commitment to ethical standards and announced an outside firm for a thorough review. It was signed by the board chair, not my father, not my mother, someone independent. I sat back, letting it sink in. Ryan was suspended. Not fired, not yet, but definitively removed from power. My phone buzzed again. An email from a board member I didn't even know. He expressed regret for any harm caused and invited me to meet with my legal counsel. I forwarded it to James Kirby. He called 5 minutes later. "This is good, Nora. This means they're taking it seriously. They're protecting the company from liability by distancing themselves from Ryan." "What happens now?" I asked. "They investigate, interview witnesses, review documents, assess whether Ryan violated company policy or fiduciary duties. If they determine he acted improperly, which seems likely given the evidence, they'll have grounds to terminate him. And if they don't, then investors will do it for them. Major stakeholders are already calling for his removal. The board knows if they don't act, the company's reputation is finished." I hung up and opened Twitter. A business reporter had posted, "Sources tell me 2 major investors in Towns and Industries have already pulled their backing. More expected to follow. Ryan Townsend's career may be over." I didn't feel triumphant. I felt empty, like I'd won something I never wanted to fight for in the first place. January 2nd, the morning after. My father called. I stared at his name on my screen for 3 long rings before I answered. Nora. His voice sounded old, tired, defeated. Can we talk? We're talking. My own voice was flat. I mean, really talk. Not like this. He took a shaky breath. I owe you an apology. I said nothing, just waited. I knew, he finally confessed, his voice barely a whisper. I knew something wasn't right with Ryan's presentations. I knew the technology wasn't his. I suspected it was yours. And I said nothing. Why? I asked, the word a raw wound. Because I'm a coward. His voice cracked. Because your mother was so proud of Ryan. Because the company was struggling. And I thought if we just got through this quarter, if we just closed this funding round, everything would work out. I told myself you'd understand. That you'd be okay. I wasn't okay, Dad. I know. God, Nora, I know. I let you be erased. I let them push you out. I let your mother disinvite you from Christmas and New Year's. He broke off, a choked sob. When he spoke again, he was openly crying. You're my daughter. I should have protected you. I should have stood up for you. I was weak. I failed you, and I'm so sorry. I closed my eyes, tears stinging my own face. An apology doesn't undo it, I said quietly, the words thick with years of unaddressed hurt. It doesn't give me back the years I spent thinking I wasn't good enough, that I was the problem. I know it doesn't, he choked out. But I needed you to hear it. I'm proud of you, Nora. I've always been proud of you. I didn't know how to say it. I didn't know how to go against your mother, against Ryan, against everyone except me. Silence. Then, yes. I don't know if I can forgive you yet, I said. But I'm glad you called. That's more than I deserve, he whispered. If you ever want to talk, really talk, I'm here. I'll do better. I promise. I'll believe it when I see it, Dad. Fair enough. We hung up. I sat on my couch and cried. Not out of sadness, but because something I'd been carrying for years had finally slightly loosened its grip. January 3rd. A LinkedIn message popped up from someone I'd never met. Marcus Williams, a partner at Riverside Capital. His message detailed how, in 2023, Ryan had approached their firm with a pitch for an exclusive AI diagnostic tool developed in-house at Towns and Industries. They passed on the investment. After reading the Forbes article, he wrote, I realized, I think it was your algorithm. He'd attached a PDF, Ryan's pitch deck. I opened it. Towns and Industries logo on the cover. Revolutionary AI-driven diagnostics. Early disease detection platform. Dated August 2023. I scrolled to slide 3, Core Technology Framework. My hands started shaking. It was my algorithm. Not similar. Not inspired by. Identical. The neural network architecture I'd spent 2 years developing, the data processing pipeline I designed, even the specific terminology, threaded analysis nodes. A phrase I'd coined in my thesis. He'd copied it wholesale, and he tried to sell it. I forwarded the email to James Kirby, my heart pounding. He called immediately. This is huge, Nora. This isn't just attempted theft for company use. He was trying to profit off your IP. That's fraud. What do I do with it? I asked, my voice thin. Do you want to press charges? I thought about it. Ryan, already suspended, facing professional ruin. Criminal charges, trials, endless publicity. No, I said. But I want Forbes to have it. I want it public. I want everyone to see exactly what he did. The article went live that afternoon. New evidence suggests Ryan Townsend attempted to sell Sister's intellectual property to outside investors. The pitch deck was embedded, side-by-side comparisons with my patent filing, expert analysis from IP lawyers. The comments section exploded. This isn't a family dispute. This is theft. He didn't just try to claim her work, he tried to sell it. How is he not in jail? I closed my laptop. I didn't need to read more. The truth was doing the work I couldn't. January 4th. The fallout hit critical mass. I read the headline, Boston Medical Center cancels $15 million contract with Towns and Industries amid ethics scandal. I read it 3 times. BMC's statement was clinical, professional. They cannot in good conscience work with a company under investigation for ethical violations. $15 million. Gone. Towns and industry stock had plummeted 28% in 3 days. Analysts called it a catastrophic loss of investor confidence. On Glassdoor, employees were posting, "Everyone's terrified. We don't know if the company will survive this." An email landed in my inbox from a Towns and Industries project manager. "Please, Miss Townsend, I have 2 kids. I'm scared I'm going to lose my job because of what your brother did. We had nothing to do with this. Please, if there's anything you can do to help the company survive." I stared at that email for 20 minutes. These people, engineers, administrators, salespeople, they hadn't stolen from me. They hadn't erased me. They were collateral damage in a war they didn't start. I felt sick. I called James. "The company is hemorrhaging." I told him, my voice tight. "Employees are terrified. What do I do?" "Nora, you didn't cause this. Ryan did. But You told the truth. If the truth destroys something, that something was already broken. You're not responsible for fixing it." I wanted to believe him, but late that night, alone in my apartment, I couldn't stop thinking about those employees, their families, the damage spreading far beyond the people who deserved it. I didn't want innocent people to suffer, but I also couldn't let guilt silence me again. January 5th, an email from my mother. "Nora, we need to meet face to face. Please." I didn't want to, but something, maybe curiosity, maybe a sliver of desperate hope, made me agree. We met at Thinking Cup, a coffee shop in downtown Boston. Public, neutral ground. She arrived in a black Burberry coat, sunglasses on despite the overcast sky, heels clicking on the tile. She looked thinner, older. She sat across from me, ordering nothing. "Nora." She took off her sunglasses. Her eyes were red-rimmed, weary. "I'll admit that Ryan made mistakes. Poor judgment. But what you've done is destroying the family business. Employees are losing their jobs. Your father, he's not well. The stress." "Mom, why am I here?" I asked, cutting her off. She leaned forward. "What do you want? Money? A position at Neural Thread for Ryan? A seat on the Towns and Industries board? Name your price and let's end this." I just stared at her. "You think I did this for money? Then what? Revenge? Tension? You've made your point, Nora. You've shown everyone you're successful. Now, let's move forward." "Move forward?" I let out an empty, bitter laugh. "You want me to issue a retraction? A clarification? Say that the situation was more complicated, that family dynamics were misunderstood, that Ryan and I have reconciled." "We haven't reconciled." "Then pretend." Her voice hardened, a dangerous, familiar edge returning. "Do you understand what you're doing to us? To your father's legacy? To you?" I countered, meeting her eyes. "You're worried about your reputation, about what your friends at the country club are saying. Don't be childish." "I'm not being childish. I'm being clear. I will not retract the truth. I will not pretend this didn't happen. I will not disappear to make you comfortable." "Then you're willing to destroy us?" she whispered. "No, Mom. I'm willing to protect myself. If that destroys you, maybe you should ask why protecting me was never a priority." She stood, jamming her sunglasses back on. "You'll regret this." "I already regret it," I said quietly, the words heavy. "I regret that it was necessary." She walked out without another word. I sat alone, my coffee untouched, and felt something settle in my chest. Profound, weary certainty. I wasn't going to save them. They had to save themselves. January 6th. An email landed in my inbox that changed everything. It was from the Women in Tech Summit, inviting me to be their keynote speaker at their annual gala. "Your story," it read, "standing up for your intellectual property, refusing to be silenced, building a billion-dollar company against extraordinary personal obstacles, is exactly what our community needs to hear." 1,200 attendees. Students, professionals, industry leaders. They'd be honored if you would share your experience. I read it twice, my heart pounding, then called Dr. Martinez. They want me to speak at a gala in front of 1,200 people. That's wonderful, Nora. I don't want to be defined by family drama. I don't want to be the woman whose brother stole her work. I want to be known for my algorithm, for my company, for Nora. Her voice was gentle but firm. You're not defined by drama. You're defined by what you built and by refusing to let anyone take it from you. That's the story. But how many women do you think are sitting on their work right now because they're scared? Because their family told them it doesn't matter? Because they don't want to make people uncomfortable? She paused. You're not just telling your story. You're giving them permission to tell theirs. I thought about the hundreds of emails I'd received from women saying I'd given them courage. Okay, I said, a decision solidifying. I'll do it. I started writing that speech that very night. Not about revenge. Not about family dysfunction. About boundaries. About documentation. About the difference between keeping the peace and protecting your integrity. About what it costs to disappear and what it takes to refuse. I wrote until 3 a.m., deleting and rewriting, trying to find words that were honest without being bitter. By the time I finished, I had a draft. Not perfect, but true. And truth, I was learning, was the only thing that mattered. January 10th. A text from Ryan. Nora, can we talk? Not as CEO and founder. As brother and sister. I stared at the message for 2 days. On January 12th, I called him back. Nora, he said, his voice raw, exhausted. Thank you for... I didn't think you'd call. What do you want, Ryan? I didn't soften my tone. He took a shaky breath. I'm sorry. I didn't realize how much I hurt you. I was so focused on saving the company, on proving I could lead it, that I didn't think about what I was taking from you. You didn't realize, or you didn't care? A long silence. Both. Maybe. I don't know. I thought I was helping. Bringing you into the family business. Making your work part of something bigger. It was already part of something bigger. My company. My vision. You tried to erase that. I know. His voice cracked. And I don't know how to fix it. You can't fix it with one conversation, I said. But if you want to start, really start, you can issue a public statement. Acknowledge what you did. Not because lawyers told you to. Not because the board demanded it. Because it's the truth. If I do that, the board will fire me permanently. Then you have a choice to make. Nora, please. You told investors my work was yours. You tried to sell my algorithm to outside firms. You threatened me when I refused to hand it over. Those aren't misunderstandings, Ryan. Those are choices. And if you want any chance at redemption, you need to own them. You're asking me to end my career. I'm asking you to tell the truth. What you do with that is up to you. He was quiet for a long time. I need to think. Take your time, I said. I'm not going anywhere. We hung up. I didn't know if he'd do it. Didn't know if he even could. But I'd given him the roadmap. Whether he took it wasn't my responsibility anymore. January 15th. I was sitting in a coffee shop in Cambridge, trying to work on Neural Threads Q1 projections, when I saw it. Ryan's statement posted on LinkedIn and Twitter. I owe my sister Nora Townsend a public apology. Over the past 3 years, I attempted to claim credit for work that was entirely hers. I presented her algorithm to investors as if it had been developed by Towns and Industries. I pressured her to hand over her intellectual property. When she refused, I threatened legal action. I was wrong. Nora developed Neural Threads core technology independently, filed patents in her own name, and built a company from the ground up. While I tried to take it from her, I violated her trust. I damaged her professionally and personally, and I justified it by telling myself I was protecting the family business. That was a lie. I was protecting my ego. I am stepping down from all roles at Towns and Industries to allow for an independent investigation. I hope in time to earn back trust, not through words, but through actions. But first, I needed to say this, Nora, I'm sorry. You deserved better. You deserved support, recognition, and respect. Instead, I gave you betrayal. I hope you can forgive me someday, but I understand if you can't. I read it 3 times. The comments flooded in. This took courage. Respect. Too little, too late. He only apologized because he got caught. Apologies don't undo theft. At least he admitted it. Most people never do. I didn't know what I felt. Not vindication exactly. Not satisfaction. Relief maybe that he'd finally told the truth. But also an emptiness. Because an apology couldn't give me back the years I'd spent believing I was the problem. I called Dr. Martinez. He apologized. I said, publicly. How do you feel? She asked gently. I don't know. It doesn't fix anything. But it's the first time he acknowledged your reality, she finished. And that matters. Yeah, I said. It does. January 20th. Towns and Industries issued another statement. The board announced that my father, Richard Townsend, the company founder, would return as interim CEO while the organization underwent comprehensive restructuring. Ryan had resigned from all positions. The statement promised transparency, ethical leadership, and a thorough review of IP practices. It was signed by my father. He called me that afternoon. Nora, I wanted you to hear this from me. I'm back temporarily, just until we stabilize. Are you okay, Dad? I asked, genuinely concerned. This is a lot of stress for you. I'm fine. And I owe this to the company, to the employees, to... He paused, then, to you. I let things fall apart. I'm going to fix them. What's the plan? Full ethics review, new policies on IP, on credit, on collaboration, transparency reports. We're even bringing in a DI consultant to assess our culture, to make sure what happened to you doesn't happen to anyone else. That's good, I said quietly. Nora, I know I can't undo what happened, but I'm trying. Really trying. I know, Dad. He hesitated again. Would you consider consulting for us? Not on technology, on policy, on how to build a culture where people like you, brilliant, innovative people, feel valued instead of erased. I thought about it, walking back into that building, helping the company that had tried so hard to erase me. Maybe, I said, someday, but not yet. That's fair. The door's open whenever you're ready. We hung up. I didn't know if I'd ever be ready, but I appreciated that he asked, and that he didn't pressure me when I said no. February 15th, 2025. Boston Convention Center. I stood backstage at the Women in Tech Gala, listening to 1,200 people settling into their seats. The venue was enormous, bathed in professional lights, event logos on giant screens, tables neatly arranged. Dr. Martinez found me in the green room. Ready? She asked, a warm smile. No, I whispered, smoothing my simple black sheath dress. What if I freeze? You won't, she said, squeezing my arm. You're telling your story. That's all. The MC's voice boomed through the space. Please welcome our keynote speaker, Nora Townsend, founder and CEO of Neural Thread Incorporated. Applause. I walked onto the stage. The lights were blinding. I couldn't see individual faces, just a sea of silhouettes. 1,200 women watching me. I took a deep breath and began. For most of my life, I was told I made people uncomfortable. I was too quiet, too focused, too different. I didn't fit the mold of what my family wanted. So, I believed the problem was me. Silence. They were listening, truly listening. I spent years trying to shrink, trying to be less, trying to make my work smaller so other people wouldn't feel threatened by it. And when my family tried to erase my work entirely, I almost let them. Because I was more afraid of conflict than I was of disappearing. I paused, looked out at the shapes in the darkness. But then I realized something. I wasn't uncomfortable. I was just surrounded by people who couldn't see my value. The applause started, scattered at first, then built, a wave of recognition. When my family tried to take my work, I had two choices. Stay silent to keep the peace, or speak up to keep my integrity. I chose integrity, not because I wanted to hurt anyone, but because I refused to disappear. The applause swelled. Some people stood. To every woman here who's been told to shrink, to be quieter, to take up less space. Your work matters. Your voice matters. And no not even family, has the right to take that from you. A standing ovation, the entire room on their feet. I looked out at them. Women who understood, who'd been there, who'd chosen themselves, even when it cost them everything. And I felt something I hadn't felt in years. I felt free. After the gala, I returned to my apartment and opened my laptop. The messages had started during the speech. By the time I got home, there were hundreds. Your story gave me the courage to report my boss for taking credit for my research. I filed a formal complaint today. Thank you. I've been hiding my startup from my family for 2 years because they don't think it's real work. I'm launching publicly next week. You gave me permission. My father told me I'd never be as successful as my brother. I'm sending him the Forbes article and your speech. I'm done shrinking. I left a toxic job because of you. I documented everything just like you said. They tried to claim I breached my NDA. My lawyer proved they were wrong. I'm free now. I'm 19. I just declared my major in computer science. My parents wanted me to do something practical. I'm doing this anyway because you showed me I could. I read every message, every single one. Some made me cry. Some made me laugh. All of them made me realize I wasn't just telling my story. I was part of something bigger, a movement of women who refused to disappear. I responded to as many as I could. Document everything. Protect your work. Don't let anyone make you believe you're the problem. Set boundaries. It's not selfish. It's survival. Your voice matters. Use it. Late that night, Dr. Martinez texted, "You did good, Nora. Really good." I looked around my small apartment, no longer lonely, just mine, and typed back, "I think I finally believe that." March 2025. I moved to San Francisco, not because I was running away from anything, but because I was running towards something. Neural Thread's main office was now in the Mission District. A bright, open space with whiteboards on every wall, and a team that genuinely valued collaboration over hierarchy. I wanted to be close to it, close to the work that had, in so many ways, saved me. I found a small apartment near Dolores Park. 1 bedroom, bay windows, old hardwood floors. Nothing fancy, but it was mine. I spent a weekend unpacking, setting up my desk, my laptop monitor, the framed patent certificate James Kirby had given me. I hung photos. Dr. Martinez and me at my MIT graduation, my co-founders celebrating the IPO, a candid shot from the Women in Tech Gala. No photos of my family. Not yet. Maybe not ever. And for the first time, I didn't feel guilty about it. That Sunday evening, I called my father. "Dad, I'm in San Francisco now. Moved this weekend." "San Francisco?" He sounded wistful. "That's far. It's where the company is." "I know. I was hoping you might come back to the East Coast eventually." "Maybe someday," I said. "But not yet." "Fair enough, Nora. If I wanted to visit, would that be okay?" "Not now, I know you need space, but someday." I thought about my father. Flawed, passive, but genuinely trying. "Call me first," I said. "Don't just show up. And Dad, I need you to understand. If you come, it's because you want to know me, not because you're trying to fix the family." "I want to know you," he said quietly, his voice thick with regret. "I should have wanted that a long time ago." "Yeah," I said. "You should have. I'll call before I visit. I promise." We hung up. I stood at my window, looking out at the park, the city lights, the life I was building from scratch. And for the first time in my life, I felt like I belonged to myself. June 2025. Neural Thread announced a partnership that changed everything. We held a press conference at our San Francisco office, small, intimate, just our team and a handful of journalists. I stood at the front with my co-founders, our CTO pulling up the presentation behind us. "Today," I announced, Neural Thread Incorporated is proud to announce a partnership with Johns Hopkins Hospital. We've signed a $50 million contract to implement our AI diagnostic platform across their medical network. This technology will improve early detection for pancreatic cancer, lung disease, and neurological conditions, diseases that often go undiagnosed until it's too late. Journalists started typing furiously. Cameras flashed. One raised her hand. Miss Townsend, this is a major milestone. How does it feel to see your work finally recognized at this scale? I thought about that question. About the 3 years I'd spent protecting this algorithm. About the family that tried to take it from me. About that New Year's Eve sitting alone in my apartment while they celebrated without me. It feels like justice, I said. Not revenge. Justice. Another journalist followed up. Your company's valuation has nearly doubled since the IPO. You're now worth an estimated $4 billion. Does that vindicate your decision to go public with your family story? I didn't go public for vindication, I clarified. I went public because staying silent was costing me my integrity. The success, the money, the partnerships, all of it? That's not why I did it. But it does prove something. What's that? That the people who told me my work didn't matter were wrong. That I was right to protect it. That I was right to believe in it, even when no one else did. After the press conference, my co-founders popped open champagne in the office. To Nora, one of them said, raising a glass, who refused to disappear. We clinked glasses. I looked around at the team. People who saw my work, who valued my voice, who never once made me feel like I was too much or not enough. I thought this is what I was fighting for. December 31st, 2025. New Year's Eve. 1 year since the night that changed everything. I was in my San Francisco apartment, but I wasn't alone. My team had come over, 10 of us crowded into my living room, passing around plates of takeout and arguing about the best sci-fi movies. At 11:30 p.m., my phone buzzed. Dr. Martinez, video calling from Boston. I stepped into my bedroom and answered. Nora. She was smiling, her warm apartment visible behind her. How are you? Good. Really good. I'm so proud of you this year. Everything you've accomplished. I couldn't have done it without you. Yes, you could have, she said gently. But I'm glad I got to be part of it. She paused. Have you heard from your family? My dad texted earlier. Happy New Year, sweetheart. I love you. He's visiting in February. Just the two of us for dinner. And Ryan? Nothing. I don't expect to. And your mother? Nothing. I don't think she'll ever reach out, and I'm okay with that. Are you really? She asked, her gaze searching. Yeah. I looked out the window at the city lights. I spent my whole life waiting for her approval. I don't need it anymore. We said our goodbyes. I returned to the living room just as the countdown started on TV. 10, 9, 8. My team joined in, shouting and laughing. 3, 2, 1. Fireworks erupted outside. Someone popped another bottle of champagne. I stood at my window, glass in hand, and thought about last year. About sitting alone in Cambridge, watching strangers celebrate, feeling utterly invisible. I wasn't invisible anymore. I opened my laptop, pulled up a blank document, and started typing. 1 year ago, I was alone on New Year's Eve. Tonight, I'm surrounded by people who see me. Not the version they want, but the version I am. Healing didn't mean reconciliation. It meant accepting that I deserved better and building a life that reflected that. I posted it to LinkedIn. Within minutes, comments poured in. Thank you for showing us what boundaries look like. You changed my life this year. I'm not alone anymore because of you. I smiled, closed the laptop, and rejoined my team. This was my family now, the one I chose. So, if you've made it this far, thank you for listening to my story. A lot of people have asked me, do you regret it? Was it worth losing your family? And here's the truth. I didn't lose my family. They lost me. They lost me when they chose reputation over relationship. When they decided my work didn't matter. When they tried to erase me rather than celebrate me. And yes, every single painful, messy moment of it was worth it. Because the alternative was disappearing. I spent 29 years trying to squeeze myself into a frame that was never built for me. Trying to be quieter, smaller, less. Trying to make other people comfortable at the crushing cost of my own existence. I'm done with that. You don't owe anyone, not even your family, the right to erase you. If you're sitting on work that you're afraid to claim, please document it. Protect it. File the patents, save the emails, record the meetings. Build a paper trail that speaks for itself. If you're being told you're too much or not enough, find people who see you. They're out there, I promise. And if you ever have to choose between keeping the peace and keeping your integrity, choose integrity. Every single time. Because your voice matters. Your work matters. And you deserve to exist fully, loudly, unapologetically. This is my story. Thank you for being here. Now I'm curious. Have you ever been in a situation where you had to choose between your family's expectations and your own integrity? What did you do? Or what would you have done if you were in my shoes? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I really want to know.